So when I was a child, I found an alien living in my parents' tool shed, and I lured him out with some Reese's Pieces, and we became really good friends. Then when government agents tried to take him away, I used my bicycle to help him fly and find his friends. Then in middle school, I joined an organization that was then known as the WWF. I wrestled against competitors like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, alongside my best friend, Socko. My move was the mandible claw. Then, in high school, an eccentric and well-traveled uncle left me his ring. Turns out, it was the One Ring of Power, so me and some friends banded together with some elves, dwarves, and men, and we took it to Mount Doom in order to destroy it. I lost a finger in the process. So I'm not crazy, I know that none of this was me. I've just always had this problem where I fall into other stories, and I think it's because I've always been trying to find where it is that I actually belong. And I'm not always finding it, see, because I am from here, but I'm not somebody that people think of as being from here. So I'm an Iranian-Mexican Native American person, and I was born here in Oklahoma and raised, and I've never heard anything in Oklahoma history about people like me. So growing up, it was really hard to find stories that matched my experience. On TV, everybody was either white or the Cosbys, and nobody was ever multi-ethnic, probably because it's really hard to have realistic representations of people in between commercial breaks. But growing up, I wanted nothing more to be like the Laurens and Jessicas that I went to school with. They had pretty blonde hair and fair skin, and I had frizzy hair and skin that asked, or the skin that made people ask me where I was from, and nobody believed I was from Edmond. But I held it in my heart that I would grow up someday to be blonde just like Barbie. But my mom let me know that one, that wasn't possible, and two, it was not a career path, even though it worked for Barbie. So when I found that out, I cried for a whole day. But I still held on to stories. They were the place I went when I wanted to find where I belonged. And around the second grade, that's when I decided it was my destiny to become a writer. No more lollygagging, I had work to do at age 8. The book that made me decide this was Beverly Cleary's Ramona Quimby, Age 8. I loved that story, and at that point, it was the realest thing I'd ever read in my life. That there were parents that argued, there were bullying, and nothing got wrapped up in a 22-minute show by the end with everybody learning a lesson. So I decided I was going to write my novel, and honestly, in the process at that age, I thought that I would write it on notebook paper. My parents would take it to a bookstore, they would turn it into a novel, and it would take a week maximum. Admittedly, now I know a lot more about the publishing process, and I'm still as quixotic about it, so I still know that this is something that I am destined to do. It's what I'm on this planet to do, and even though I've been working on my current project for 12 years, I know it's why I'm here. And just like characters in Ramona Quimby, I want to create real representations of people, because real heroes weather the storm, and that determines who they are. They don't have somebody that comes in and saves them. And even though I don't rely on costumes as much as I used to, old habits die hard. And honestly, why would OU be a bright red crimson color if they weren't turning you into Sith Lords by the time you graduated? So learning to tell my story has meant two things to me. One, it means telling the truth of my existence as I actually experienced it, and telling stories about characters that are completely unrepresented in the stories that we tell about Oklahoma. It means honoring things that are super weird, like having a Persian dad who makes better Mexican food than your Mexican Native American mom who makes better Persian food than your Persian dad. Food is the only love language in my parents' household, and that's how they tell their story and how they've been doing it for years. It also means calling out the bullshit that I was assimilated into. I will not pretend like I don't have ancestors that benefited from the land run of 1889. However, I know more of my ancestors actually came to Oklahoma in an event my tribe refers to as the Trail of Death. So it's weird that my elementary school didn't teach me about that, but I got to reenact the land run. It also means being comfortable with who I am in a room of people that are openly hostile to my existence. Even though I know all the words to friends in low places and I drink Coors Light, they still don't think that I'm a real Oklahoman. So honestly, it is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and it means showing up as myself 100% of the time and being real and telling the story as I have actually experienced it. And I have to be honest, it gets pretty messy sometimes. It's not like anything that you see on TV, and nothing gets wrapped up with a tidy bow by the end. But you know what? Because it isn't like something that you see every day, that makes my story a story worth telling. Thank you.